Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. US markets initially were up about 80 odd points, but they gave up most of their gains after the statement coming out from the Fed chairman that the monetary policy would not be enough to offset the damage of the fiscal cliff. Also, the Fed has come up with a $45 billion of monthly bond buying program and has also come out with an innovative idea of linking the interest rates to the jobless claims. Overall, sentiment-wise, US markets were not too good. European markets were also flat as some of the industrial data that came out from Germany were not up to the mark. Talking about the Asian markets, most of the markets are holding up in the green. Particularly, Japan is up almost about 1% as the expectations about fresh liquidity easing has increased in the next Bank of Japan's meeting, and we continue to see a lot of weakness in the yen. Talking about the flows friends, yesterday in the cash market, FIs were net buyers to the tune of 965 crore, whereas the domestic institutions were sellers to the tune of about 365 crore. To put things into perspective, from Jan till December, the FIs are net buyers to the tune of more than 1 lakh crore, and in this month itself, FIs are net buyers to the tune of almost about 5,100 crore. At the same time, in this month, the domestic institutions have been sellers to the tune of about 1,500 crore. So as I mentioned yesterday, it remains to be seen what kind of incremental flows are we really going to see, particularly over the next 2 or 3 weeks, because that's going to be very crucial for deciding the broader direction of the market. And on that note, let me invite Shaival to take us through important F&O ideas, strategies that we can have in the F&O markets. Good morning, Shaival.
Good morning.
We've seen the market really consolidating in this broad range for a long time, about 58.75 on the downside and about 59.50 it's not able to cross. But in terms of the sectors or any particular strike around which there is a major open interest, so have you come across anything interesting there?
See, before focusing on the sector specific, I'd like to tell you that there's no major or say drastic change in the open interest on the Nifty futures front. The data is still intact because market has been stuck in a range. But yes, banking and finance as well as capital goods sectors have seen a good accumulation of long positions from past couple of trading sessions. So if market takes supports and some positive news lifts the market on the higher side, and if it breaks the range, then these are the sectors that one can accumulate to play with a long bias and can capitalize a good return on this.
Okay, and in case of any particular strike around which you've seen a major built up over the past couple of days?
Yeah, as market has been consolidating in a range, we have seen that the activity on the options front has been getting spread gradually and eventually. So what we have seen is that 5,900 call as well as put option and 6,000 call as well as put option continues to add open interest with a substantial amount. Whereas on the lower side, 5,800, 700 and 5,500 put options are pretty active. There's a good amount of open interest which is standing, and on higher side 6,100 and 6,200. So there's a substantial amount of open interest been built up across the strikes. So that's been clearly indicating that market is waiting for a directional breakout, and 5,900 on closing basis would act as a good support for the market. Also, this level, according to us, would act as a trend reversal point. If on the lower side these levels are breaking down, then further downside can be seen, and on higher side, if 6,000 is taken off, then higher targets can be seen on the market.
Right, and any other interesting ideas and strategies that you can share with us?
See, we have identified 3 stocks. Tata Global is looking positive, so one can maintain a stop loss of 170 rupees. Arvind Mill is also looking positive, so one can maintain a stop loss of 92 rupees 30 paisa. And IDFC is looking good, so one can maintain a stop loss of 174 rupees 70 paisa with a positive bias.
Right, Shaival, thanks a lot for that update.
Thank you.
Friends, back home our markets continue to remain in a broad range of about 40 to 50 points of Nifty. On the downside, about 5875, and on the way up, it's not able to cross that 5950 level for a while. So it remains to be seen how it really moves over the next few days. Also, we had some important statements coming out from the opposition that they will support the banking bill if some of the provisions with respect to the forward contracts are removed, so which is viewed positively for the banking sector as a whole. Apart from that, these are the important news and events that we are tracking. IIP number came out yesterday at about 8.2%, which was definitely a big positive surprise but there are feelers that it was mainly because of the festive season and a lower base. So it remains to be seen whether there is a structural change in this growth rate, or it's just a one-off kind of a thing. RBI has tightened the norms for NBFCs, both the capital adequacy as well as the provisioning norms, which is a bit of a negative for the NBFCs, but we are seeing a lot of positive action around some of the NBFCs, particularly Mahindra Finance, IDFC, L&T Finance, and so on and so forth, as there are expectations that you might see some norms on the fresh issuances of the banking license. We have tried to analyze the implications of the recent move by the Sri Lankan government to increase the import duty on vehicles. We feel that in case of Ashok Leyland, the impact is going to be the maximum, and we expect that the EPS of Ashok Leyland could see a decline of about 20%, presuming that the volume drop is going to be 50%. But in case of Mahindra and Maruti, the impact is going to be very negligible at about 0.4 and 0.3% of its FY14 EPS. So Ashok Leyland could have some negative implications as far as this Sri Lankan move is concerned. As I said before, there is some kind of indication that the government and the opposition have worked on some kind of a compromise formula, wherein once that forward contract bill is removed, they might be able to take it up, which is definitely going to be a big positive for the banking sector as a whole, and for the private sector banks, and even for the NBFCs, which are looking at getting converted into banking units once the banking license norms are out. Friends, in Gujarat, the stage 1 of the elections is going to begin today, with South Gujarat and Saurashtra being covered in today's polls. And since Adani Group is perceived to be very close to the current state government, you could expect some positive action in the stocks like Adani Enterprise, Adani Power and Adani Port. So from short-term trading perspective, some of these stocks could provide about 5 to 10% kind of an uptick over the next few days. Yesterday, there were developments that in Indonesia, Unilever Group has decided to hike the royalty, and consequently, there was a 7% cut in the Unilever stock. And even in our market, there are apprehensions that in case Unilever decides to increase the royalty, you could see a negative reaction for the Hindustan Unilever also. So this stock could remain a bit negative in today's market. Some positive news for ACC and Ambuja, as Holcim Group, which is a holding company of both ACC and Ambuja, has decided against increasing the royalty from 1% to 2%, and on the back of that, one can go long on both ACC and Ambuja at the stop loss and targets mentioned here. Gitanjali Group has acquired two domestic brands, Nirvana and Viola, and which will help it increase the market share to 15%. And we are seeing a lot of action in the jewelry stock for the past few days. So one can go long on Gitanjali with a stop loss of 490 and a target of about 516 to about 525. TCS has signed a multi-year agreement with the UK-based hospitality player M&B, and on the back of that, one can go long on TCS with the stop loss of 1201 and a target of about 1263 to about 1286. And CEA has asked Coal India to increase the price of the domestic coal, and also consequently there could be a hike in the power tariff by about 10 to 14 paise per unit, which is positive for Coal India. So one can go long there with a stop loss of 348 and a target of about 366 to about 373. In case of Unitech, its subsidiary Unitech Corporate Parks, which is listed on London, where Unitech is holding about 40%, has put on block about 3,000 crore, one of the assets. So one can really go long on Unitech with a stop loss of 34 and a target of about 36 to about 36.75. And Tata Motors numbers came out for the Jaguar and Land Rover, and they were up about 14%, but they were below expectations. The expectations were about 33,000 number, and the actual number is about 29,893. So one can go short on Tata Motors with a stop loss of 283 and a target of about 269 to about 263. That's it from all of us, friends. Have a nice trading session and see you tomorrow at the same time.